So hi, everyone. I am Rivera's son. I'm the program coordinator for Bene Campaign Nonviolence, which means that I have the wonderful honor and delight of getting to be the program coordinator for the Changemaker Youth Grants. As many of you know, this is a brand new project of Bene. We are a 30-year-old nonviolence organization, so we've been around for a while building this culture of active nonviolence. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've done this particular kind of grants program. And I'm just going to share my screen and share a little bit about the background of how this all got started, so that you know some of the history of how we got into doing this. And then we'll have the youth actually present the projects they came up with, the ideas that they've had, how the process has gone. I think you're going to be blown away. I know I have been, as I've heard some of these stories. So we really take the approach that no one is too small to make a difference, as Greta Thunberg says, or as Margaret Mead put it, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. We received word from Jan and David Hartso that David generously wanted to donate the funds that he received for basically a lifetime achievement award for being an amazing activist all throughout his life. He wanted to donate those funds to Bene. And so what we thought we would do with that is earmark it for the next generation, to pass it right on to these amazing young people who are already such committed and creative activists. Once we decide to do that, a man named Jonathan Greenberg, who just hopped onto the call, hello, Jonathan, who actually was the MC and the giver of the award that David received, decided to match those funds, doubling the pool of resources available to youth. So then we decided that as an organization, we were going to triple it. We were going to put another matching grant into it. And then our membership, actually, all the people who work with us on so many other great projects, gave a little bit more to the pool and really expanded it. So we had quite a bit of resources to share with people who came up with these brilliant ideas. Just so you know, David, one of the stories I love about David Hartso is that he actually organized his first action when he was 14 years old. And here he is, second from the left, at a demonstration he organized that actually got him put on under surveillance for this protest. He's now 80 years old and still going hard, and hasn't stopped. He's actually on another organizing call right now. And so we're so delighted to have Jan with us. Jan, is there anything you would like to say at this moment? Because we're honoring David, and it's really been a team effort there. Oh, you're still on mute, so we can't hear you.
Oh, I thought I hit it. I'm just saying thank you. I'm excited to hear what's happening.
Great, wonderful. And Jonathan, welcome. Is there anything you'd like to say about this whole program and your perspective on it?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I am so excited to be here, and I'm so proud of all the young people, and I'm so grateful to you, Rivera, and Ken, and everyone at Bene. What a fantastic organization you are, and what fantastic work the young people are doing. And I also want to just give a tribute to David Hartso. He was introduced to me originally by Ken, and David, Jan, David, you guys, the two of you are the most inspiring people I know. I mean, the life's work is so powerful and so meaningful. So I'm just thrilled and honored to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. We're so glad that you're here and very grateful for the role that you've played in this. I also want to lift up one more group of people, And that is our friends and colleagues at the MK Gandhi Institute. We wouldn't be doing this program without them, from the great treasure of their inspiration. So they launched a program very similar to this called the Youth Healing Hate Grants. They've been doing it, I think, for, well, Kit, I'll call on you and have you explain it, but 5 years or 5 cycles now. And similarly, they're small grants aimed at creative solutions that the youth come up with, and they have just done so many amazing things. I'm just going to direct you to the website to look at some of those projects later on when you have time. We saw this happening and we thought, that is brilliant. We can step up as an organization and do a similar kind of a thing. So Kit Miller is here. Kit is the former executive director of the MK Gandhi Institute, and I'm wondering if you want to say a few words.
I think honoring the ancestry of work is so important. So thank you for celebrating, David. I would say that the inspiration for Youth Healing Hate came about from reading Howard Thurman's book, Jesus and the Disinherited, when Thurman talks about the danger to any society where hatred becomes respectable. So that felt like a clarion call to bring people in to start talking about the issue of hate. We started organizing community workshops to talk about hate. And the closing exercise was, if someone gave you some money to do something about it, what would you do? And the people's ideas and the young people's ideas, especially in those workshops, were so inspiring that it really inspired our project at home. And then the second is, I'm here in the Haudenosaunee territory of what we call New York State now. And the founding story of the Haudenosaunee is deeply inspirational for me, as well as their presence as the world's oldest continuous democracy, 1,000 years now. And so the transformation of hate that's central to the founding of that confederacy also contributed. So there's great beauty in the backstory of these grants, and it's just a delight to be here and see some of the young folk. Thanks, Rivera.
Thank you so much, Kit. So our spin on this brilliant idea was to do projects that were in keeping with our mission to build a culture of peace and active nonviolence, free from war, poverty, racism, and environmental destruction. And so we asked people to come up with creative projects to address violence. It could be any type of violence, bullying, racism, environmental destruction. And you'll see that there are so many responses to so many angles. I am not going to talk any longer. I'm going to pass the mic around to our youth who are with us here, our grant recipients and some of their partners. And I'll just ask you to introduce yourselves, say where you're at, and just that 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of what your project is about. And then we'll have Latela do her presentation and kick off the round of deeper presentations. But let's just do a short round of introductions so people see you and know who you are.
So hi everyone, my name is Latela Billingsley and I am from Georgia, and my project took place in Georgia, but I'm currently in Ohio. And my project is called Prevention of Violence Through the Creative Arts. And it allowed youth and young adults to combat the violence in their communities through partaking in arts of any form.
Savannah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Savannah. I am from Wisconsin on the South Shore of Lake Superior. My project was digital, so it was a video series on YouTube about all sorts of nonviolence. It was called Spreading Light Nonviolence, and it covered everything from activists from today and activists from our past, celebrating and honoring them. Also talked about different practices, and it was really fun to do, and I'm so excited to be here to hear about everyone else's projects as well.
Great, thank you. Abigail.
Hi everyone, my name is Abigail. I'm originally was born in Germany, but I live in Washington State now, and my project is called The Path to Educational Quality, and it's a podcast about educating the public about the inequalities within the education system.
Wonderful. Thank you, Abigail. Kaylee?
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and my project is based around a mural that is going up in our high school here in Sherwood, Oregon. And it covers everything from diversity and equity, including LGBTQ flags, different cultures and ethnicities in Oregon, as well as different abilities and race, gender. And the hope is to create peace and nonviolence and get kids excited to go to school.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bridget? Bridget, are you able to come off mute and say hi? There you are.
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Bridget Nsimenta from Uganda, and my project has been addressing domestic violence for coffee planting, and we have gone for a series of process till now that we are still going on. I think I'm the only one who still has a lot of time still with an ongoing project until August, but I'll be so grateful if at all I do this to the end and finally I can release a clear video and pictures sharing our great achievement. Other than that, I thank you so much, and I am so grateful to have been part of this campaign. It is something that means it means a lot to me, and I'm also happy to be here as we celebrate our victory. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bridget. Lila and Sophia?
Hi, I'm Lila. And
hello, I'm Sophia.
And we've been working on a anti-gun violence awareness PSA, which includes an interview with a gun violence survivor and a lieutenant police officer. And we are planning on spreading it around our school system to educate as many students as possible. And we're just really excited to be here.
Great, wonderful, thank you. And let's see, we also have Kayla.
Hi, my name is Kayla Park, and I was born and raised in Mexico, and I recently moved to Arlington. And since I was little, I always was interested in climate change, and I attended to my grandma's camp, Little Friends for Peace, and they really inspire me to keep working on it, and that if I want to change something, I have to not just talk about it, also work for it. And my project is educating nonviolence towards Earth. So in my grandma's camp, I educate with my art, because I like art, and I like with drawing and explaining, educating with art, and teaching these young kids about climate change and solutions and problems and something like that.
Yeah, she did good job. We're excited to show. We just got done with Peace Camp last night, and it's been a week of environmental change, and it's been fabulous. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to educate and empower so many youth to help this beautiful but hurting earth.
Great, thank you, MJ. And Layla Chavez is also one of our group and was not able to be here with us today, but she did send a video that we will share. And Alejandro Abarca was also a Changemaker grant recipient. Unfortunately, he got in a bad accident with a car, and he's on the mend. He's on the way to recovery, but we're going to give him a little extra time to complete his project so that he can heal and then get to do it. All right. So thank you all. As you can see, so exciting, so many wonderful ideas. And I'm going to pass it over to Latela to start sharing some of the stories behind these ideas. Latela, would you like me to bring up your slides or do you want to bring them up?
Yes, can you please bring up my slides? Okay, so like I said before, my name is Latela Billingsley, and my project was called Prevention of Violence Through the Creative Arts. And with this project, I worked very closely with my mentor, Ms. Charmaine Brown, as well as the rest of Jared's Heart of Success Youth Action Team. And so kind of the breakdown of what's going to be occurring throughout my presentation. Rivera, can you go to the next slide, please? So first, there'll be like an overview and kind of why we wanted to start this project, as well as a few statistics about art and the connection between violence prevention, as well as community-based intervention, and the process, the materials we needed, as well as how we had to get a proclamation for National Youth Violence Prevention Week, as well as various photographs and different results and takeaways from the summit as well. So youth and young adults are constantly observing what is going on in their environment. And the purpose of this project was to allow individuals to react to their environment and their surrounding in a way that is not harming them or their community. And so we decided to create this summit, Prevention of Violence Through the Creative Arts, so that youth can have those outlets, because I have personally seen the good it can do. When recently I went to a script reading in Atlanta, and it was very cathartic for all the youth and young adults that were participating in it, just to release themselves and to act and react to the violence that is occurring in their environment. Next slide, please. So Prevention of Violence Through the Creative Arts is essentially a summit where youth and young adults are able to display their talents as it relates to violence or gun violence of any kind. And this project allowed a creative solution to advance nonviolence by permitting youth and young adults to channel their feelings and their attitudes towards nonviolence advocacy in a proactive way. And it also served as a gateway between educating the community on nonviolent skills like safe storage for firearms, violence interruption, and conflict resolution. And with the project, individuals were able to submit artworks or art of any kind, whether it was an original choreography or singing as well. And after that, there was an evaluation at the summit where individuals were allowed to receive prizes and compensation for all of the hard work and effort they put into making this possible and working with us and trying to show and exhibit their creative skills in a way that is proactive and helpful to their community. Next slide, please. So kind of breaking off a little bit, as a result of politics kind of being an adult male dominated field, youth voices, especially those within marginalized communities, are often overlooked. And because of this and the skeptical views and distrust that has been growing among youth towards political institutions, traditional forms of activism and civic engagement do not typically resonate as much with youth and young adults and cannot be expected to be performed by them as it will be with adults. So respectively, youth and young adults tend to engage in more creative and online forms of activism as a mode of transmission for their voices. So through the use of personal and artistic expression, youth are able to amplify their experiences and political power to propel change in the fields and interests, their fields of interest. Next slide, please. So with this project, we really wanted it to be community-based. We wanted to engage youth and young adults as well as parents and adults that wanted to come out and hear what we were talking about so that they can understand how violence and nonviolence starts with them and starts at an individual level before it can go on to where it is a widespread community and country change. So that's why my team and I decided to center the summit primarily around youth and young adults. It's also centered around youth and young adults because that is the demographic that research shows is most disproportionately impacted by community violence and violence of any kind. In fact, violence was actually the leading cause of death and injury among youth and young adults, with over half of the homicides occurring in 2020 affecting them. So we wanted to work with youth and we wanted to work with young adults so they can prevent violence. Additionally, we allowed them and we gave youth and young adults a platform where they can act on issues that primarily affect them. Next slide, please. So this is kind of the process that we went through. Because we didn't want any resources to hinder an individual's ability to participate in the summit, we obtained and paid for all of the materials that may have been needed for the artists to work on what they wanted to present and exhibit at the summit. So we obtained canvases, we obtained paint and paint brushes, anything that was needed, anything that the artist may have felt was necessary for their project, we gave to them. We also worked with a community partner called JJ's Define Youth Dance Studio to serve as a central location for students to gather and work on their artwork and collaborate, especially for group dance projects. And then after that, we created printouts and evaluation sheets. We really wanted the students and the young adults to be evaluated fairly in a way that truly showed and appreciated all the effort they put into their projects and their artwork. And the printouts were primarily geared towards violence intervention. So just talking about simple conflict resolution tactics and de-escalation tactics. Next, we had to obtain a mayoral proclamation for National Youth Violence Prevention Week. And then after that, we had to solidify what awards we wanted to give, as well as the catering for the event. And then it was the big summit day, which I generally enjoyed. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the next couple of slides are artwork as well as writing from the individuals that participated in the summit. Next slide. Next slide, please. And that was some of the artwork. And then next would be some of the written work that was submitted as well. Next slide. Next slide. And so some of the results was that over 30 youth participants submitted their artwork or danced or sung or just participated in any way they could. And 14 prizes were allotted. The greater monetary prizes were generally allotted to the individuals that were in group projects, like the dancers, and as well as the artworks. We generally had more prizes for that category because that was the one that had the most influx of participants. And some takeaways from doing this was that a lot of time and preparation goes into creating a program of this caliber. And additionally, in order to reduce the possible amount of barriers that the participants face, we had to go out and get the supplies. We had to find a centralized location for all of them to work in. And additionally, this project made me appreciate my community even more, because without the community involvement, this project would not have happened. And so the next slide is just a closing quote that I felt kind of represented what this project is about. And it is, the role of the artist is that of the soldier of the revolution. Art can inspire change, and that's what we hope to do with this project. Thank you.
Wow, Latela, look around the screen and see all the appreciation you're getting, clapping hands, applause signs. If anyone wants to put a comment or a response in the chat box for Latela, that's so wonderful. I just want to also just wave to Charmaine Brown, who has served as Latela's mentor in this and is doing amazing work as well. Charmaine, thank you for all the support that you put into this and so much of the other things that go on. Great. Wonderful. So next up, we are going to, well, first of all, Latela, I hope you let this all sink in, these wonderful comments that are coming into you in the chat box. I hope it makes your heart feel how much we all appreciate you and what you bring to this. I want to go to Savannah. And Savannah, do you want to say a few words while I get your video ready to play?
Yeah, so again, my name is Savannah. So Rivera has a video for my presentation of the overview and the inspirations for my videos. I think the thing that I learned the most, I learned so many things. And in this video, I'll keep saying that. I'll be like, the most important thing I learned, and then I'll be like, the most important thing I learned. But I took so many good things away from it. But one of the most important things I learned was that everything is just a step on a journey. And these videos, I could probably do better in 2 years or in 5 weeks, and I could cover more topics. But this was like the
Oh, no, Savannah, you froze a little bit on my end. Is that happening to anyone else? Yeah. All right, let's just give her a few seconds to see. There you go. Savannah, you froze for a little bit. Can you back up a few sentences?
Yes. So no matter how detailed or incredible your project is, it is something that you did. And so I just want to let everyone know that for the Changemaker Youth Grant and for everyone working on a project in their life, it doesn't matter how good it is and if it's the best work, because it's still your work.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And here is your video.
Hello, my name is Savannah Holden, Savannah with no H. I am 14 years old, homeschooled, and live on a homestead on the shores of Lake Superior in Wisconsin. We grow our own organic food in big gardens and make our own organic salve. We have free-ranged animals as well, including an alpaca and a goat. The children are also pretty free-ranged. I'm the third out of 4, and here is my presentation.
I
discovered nonviolence through Rivera Sun's books, and then I took a training with her and Veronica Pelenkark. I was fascinated by this other way of looking at the world and this other lifestyle. And not only stopping violences and stopping physical damage, but the inner works and this new discovery of this challenge was a little scary, but also very exciting. In this time period, I was struggling a lot with what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to do something good, but I couldn't just put on a cape and fly to the rescue. Yes, I do have a giant red cape laying around, and no, I did not make it for this video. When I discovered Pace, Bene, and nonviolence, I was drawn immediately. This was something I was curious, passionate, and excited about. I applied for the grants one day when I couldn't stop thinking, nonviolent change for good. This thought kept running through my head over and over again, and then the email popped up in my inbox for Changemaker youth grants. I think part of why I got the grant was maybe because I didn't ask for any funds, but I was still super stoked. In my videos, I wanted to share what I knew and hold space and learn about past activists, and also learn about nonviolent activists from today. I was kind of looking towards like interviews and slides, except that iMovie crashes our whole entire internet, and interviews soon became a fantasy. In the back of my mind, I wanted it to be funny and educational. I really didn't achieve the funny aspect, but I hope it was kind of educational. I also wanted to talk about self, because we all struggle with ourselves, and I thought that maybe it could help with mental health, mine and others. I've been very inspired by quotes and poems, and so I wanted to add these in. I ended up not talking about everyone I had chosen, but then again, not much of it went as planned. When we had the meeting with the other grant holders, I was blown away. Their ideas were so much better than mine. They were incredible, but I was determined to make mine okay too. But very shortly, things started going downhill. I discovered a whole new side of myself. I stuttered and stumbled and jumbled all my words together. I have had trouble with R's in the past, but now they came back with the thought that I couldn't put a whole sentence together if I tried. The first few videos I could only get through by having a script, and still they were very rushed. Some days I couldn't even film because my words were so tangled in knots. This did not help with confidence.
Thoughts rather it is not empty sentiment. That will help. That Caesar's blows are violencing meaning, the true meaning.
Don't even ask how many times it took me to say fight, flight, and freeze. That was a nightmare. What finally helped was that I organized and hosted a book club for Rivera's book, The Way Between. It was a small group and I knew everyone, but it helped me to slow down, articulate, and keep a conversation. The last session, Rivera joined to answer questions and whatnot. I was so nervous that I talked super fast and I forgot to let my sister introduce herself. But that finally helped. I was able to have fun while filming, and I was able to slow down a bit. These videos have helped me in so many ways. Not only teaching me how to talk right and in a public filming setting, but also patience and problem solving. These videos have also helped teach me that human mistakes happen, and that if you're willing to, you can grow quite a bit from them. Poor Cesar Chavez. I think I jumbled his name in every single possibility of different combinations. I also unfortunately don't have the originals of these videos with all of the bloopers, but I've hopefully grown from that.
I will definitely take nonviolence with me going forwards. Nonviolence has been a huge part of my last year, and I hope that I can continue to explore and discover completely new aspects and learn about aspects of nonviolence I already know, so I can fully bring nonviolence into my being. Nonviolence opened up another chapter in my life. My journey to nonviolence was lit with a candle at the beginning by Veronica Pelenkark and Rivera Sun. And with all of my new discovery and my new learning and education, my journey has continued to grow with more candles lighting along the way. I have been so awed by this experience, and I really hope that someday I will be able to share this experience and inspire others to follow this path as well. One thing I love about nonviolence is it opens up doors to everyone, not only different religions and races and cultures, but everyone, and it connects everyone with this tie of love. I think I am the most curious and passionate about the connection between nonviolence and nature. We are a really big outside, active family, and growing up on our homestead running through our woods, that is what I have been the most curious and connected with. Everything that nature is applies so much to nonviolence. You can look around and see still ferns and learn patience. You can look around and see trees and see resilience, but yet be able to bend in the winds of change. And so I think that is one thing that I am really looking forward to discovering in my next chapter of my life. I think one of the most important things about nonviolence is to remember that nonviolence starts in ourselves. It starts with one person. And if you can, inside of yourself, know nonviolence, then you can share it and express it with the world. I want to thank everyone at Pace Bene, from the generous donation for the creation of Changemaker Youth Grants to everyone who helped set it up. They are all so patient and so encouraging. Thank you all so much. I think the funniest thing I learned during all these videos was that if you push down on the volume button and the power button on an iPhone 11, it will start doing an SOS call. And you have to cancel it within 3 seconds. My parting words for all of you is to keep in mind that all walls, in between cultures, in between borders, are human-made, which means that they can be human-unmade. Decolonize your mind, de-border your consciousness until we can all live in peace.
Wow, thank you so much, Savannah. It's incredible what you've done. And thank you you got quite a bit of humor into that video as well. I'm glad the fire department didn't come out to see what your nonviolence video production was all about. We will put the link to your YouTube channel into the chat box so that everybody can go and binge watch Savannah's videos. Rosie and I from Pace Bene definitely did that and had a great time. Yeah, check out all those comments coming in for you, Savannah, and thanks for taking the time to be here with us today. We know that you're juggling many things to be here, so we appreciate it. Next up, I want to invite Abigail Asari to share what her experience has been like. Abigail.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. Looks great.
Okay. So my presentation is kind of about the journey that I went through to create my project and then to finally start the podcast. And so just a short bio. So like I said, my name is Abigail. I'll be a junior in the fall, and I live in Washington State. And so I'm dedicated to progress and improving the many social injustices that people face in today's society. I'm very involved in my community as I am involved in many clubs in my school that are volunteer oriented. And so just a short little bio about my project. So it's called The Path to Educational Equality, and it's a podcast about educating the public about the inequalities in the education system. And so, as you know, there are many different inequities within the education system that are affecting thousands of school-age children across the country, especially those who are low income or minorities. And so my hope for this project is to encourage and inform people about the many different problems within the education system that are affecting thousands of children on a daily basis. And so I'm trying to use this podcast as an effective way to get the message out into the public and persuade them to inform others, talk to local educators and legislators about the issue, and then do further research. So my project all really began with the Mike Yarrow Peace Fellowship really paved the way for my project to get going. So before becoming a Peace Fellow, I was always interested in activism and social justice, but I never really thought about creating a project specifically dedicated to a portion of social justice. So in the fellowship program, the advisors tasked each of the fellows with creating a project dedicated to an issue of their choice. And at the beginning, my mind kind of swirled with like a lot of different options about what I could do or what I could choose from. And some of the ideas that I had at the beginning were doing a project based on food insecurity, discrimination and disparities in healthcare, climate inequality, or educational inequality. And so at first, I kind of settled on the idea for basing my project on discrimination and disparities in healthcare, partially like motivated by the things that I was seeing on the news involving COVID, because it was kind of in like the middle of the COVID pandemic, especially about the fact that some people had to drive for miles to find like a good and accessible hospital, and just they had just weren't able to find what they needed in general. But I was inspired to change my idea when a school in my district hosted a walkout because of the sexual harassment and racism that was occurring at that school. And so kind of in the middle of the project, so after I saw the walkouts and walk-ins that occurred in my school and also the surrounding schools in the district, I kind of had an epiphany of a sort and kind of realized how important it was to empower and educate students on the inequalities within the education system. So I decided to base my project on educational inequality throughout the school system and to conduct my research. So at the start of it, I watched multiple documentaries and read many articles, not just about educational inequality today, but kind of how we got to where we are today, like Brown versus the Board of Education, how school segregation is evolving today, and the difference between the words equality and equity. And I think for me, watching documentaries was the most helpful way for me to get information / research, because not only was it eye-opening, but it really helped me put into perspective what thousands of students have to go through on a daily basis. And just hearing their personal stories from when reporters or people would interview them allowed me to really see how the school system was failing them instead of allowing them to thrive and learn in the way that they should have, in the way that they deserve. So after I conducted some of my research, I started to brainstorm how I would display my product and what kind of medium would I use to really get the information out. And so I conducted multiple calls with Sarah, who's a student at UW, who really helped me, especially with the podcast and just the technical aspect of it. Bruce and Janice, who are the advisors for the Mike Yara Peace Fellowship, and my friends, in order to brainstorm a variety of ideas. And I was on FaceTime with one of my friends when we were brainstorming ideas, and then she suggested that I use a podcast or start a podcast as a way to like disperse or display the information for my project. And it was kind of like a light bulb went off, and I was completely interested in the idea of podcast because I thought it'd be a really interesting and engaging way to get the information out. And so when I had settled on using a podcast to disperse the information, I was fortunate enough to receive a grant from the Bene organization, which allowed me to purchase the podcasting equipment that I needed, like the microphones and all the cords and equipment that would go with that. So where I am now, so about 2 weeks ago, my friends Kalisha, Janae, Alexis, and I met up at my house after school, and we recorded the first episode of the podcast, which is now out on Spotify. And so it was honestly a very fun experience. It was a little chaotic in the beginning because we were all a little bit giggly, and it was a little hard to kind of like get it started because we were all just like giggly at the beginning. But once we got all the giggles out, I thought that we all had really valid and thought-provoking points that we contributed to the recording. And it was really nice to kind of get into a group and get into that kind of mindset, because we talk about these issues like as a group, before, but not really like as much in depth as we did in the recording. And it was just really nice to see that from each and every one of them. And so I definitely plan on recording more episodes throughout the summer dedicated to different aspects of educational inequality and ideas on how to better the education system. And I really hope on each episode to like have different guests on, like different people on, like educators, local community members, just to get really different perspectives to see, because I know everyone has a different connection or a different relation to the school system. So it'd be interesting to see how an educator's perspective would be different from, like, say, a local community member or a student who is in the school system at the moment. So it'd be interesting to kind of see that difference in perspective and see where everyone stands with that. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Here is where you can listen to that amazing episode, and I highly recommend it. Abigail, the points that you and your colleagues were making were so articulate and nuanced and very specific to what was local, what was regional, what was national. And it really was so eye-opening and affirming to so many of the stories that we hear coming out of social justice movements as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're gonna hear from Kaylee. So Kaylee, over to you.
All right, I'm gonna try and share my screen. I think I can do it. Maybe we can. Maybe I will just share it with you and we'll do it that way.
Okay, go ahead. This is a good time to take a breath, everyone, when tech things happen. It's nice to get to roll your shoulders.
I don't know why it's not working. That is so odd.
You should be
Can I
able
go
to
after the next person? Can I share it with you and go after the next person?
Yeah, great
Perfect.
suggestion.
That way I won't cause any gaps.
Great, yeah. Bridget, that means we're going to jump over to you. I have a video from you. Would you like me to play it? And would you like to introduce it?
I can introduce myself, then after you play the video. Hopefully you can hear me well.
We can, yes.
First and foremost, I will say thank you so much for the support and for this experience. It has been so amazing from day one up to now, because we've been able to interact with most of the youth. I am Bridget Nsimenta, and I am a student at Mbara University of Science and Technology in my final year doing a bachelor's degree in gender and applied women health. So talking about violence is something that we have always learned in class. It is something that we have always learned theoretically, but then I wanted an opportunity to go and do it practically. And finally here you came and gave us an opportunity to go and learn more with community and learn how to solve these challenges that are already in community. And that is why I say thank you so much. You can as well play the video.
So I've turned on the automatic subtitles just for anyone who's a little hard of hearing, but please excuse any non-perfect subtitling here. This is YouTube, not us.
No peace. 4 students from Barara University of Science and Technology, that is Bridget Nsimenta, Aheva Ikra, Benedict Tusimire, and Masara Joan Peace, have joined the campaign Nonviolence to address domestic violence through coffee planting. They have started up a coffee nursery bed together with the community members with a vision of supplying coffee seedlings to the community members, a long-term project that solves poverty, hence creating peace. The stage at which this coffee has reached, it has spent 45 days from day one when it was planted in the seedbed. We are now going to put it in the pot and then finally transfer it to the nursery bed. As we put it in its pot, we ensure that the extreme end does not exceed the roots level. It's always good to ensure that it grows for 45 days in the seedbed. When it exceeds, it will rot. Therefore, it has to spend 45 to 60 days in the seedbed. It should not exceed 2.5 months. If it does so, then it will rot due to the March worm. You must ensure that after the 45 days, you put it in a pot and finally transplant it to the nursery bed. The campaign Nonviolence started way back in March, and that is when we initiated the project of coffee planting to address domestic violence. Having noticed that poverty was the major problem that was in my area, the major problem that my community members were facing, I had to organize a group of youth and their parents and teach them about how to solve poverty in order to create peaceful families. With gratitude, I appreciate Bene that has really supported us, that has supported our project from day one up to now. It has been a milestone. It has been a journey that has created a lot of learning in our minds and has created innovations in our minds because we've learned how to solve problems. As you can see, most of us as youth, we come from families that have been exposed to domestic violence, whereby every night and day our parents are fighting. They're just conflicts over small issues that can be solved with money. Poverty being the major problem, what could solve this? Coffee planting. It is a very long-term project, but you will have to earn at the end of the 2 years. You'll have to earn some money that can help you be at peace with your partner. Hence, peace in the family and a peaceful family. Very many children are dropping out of schools, as we shall later see, because of money issues, because of poverty. Most of the families are below the poverty line, and therefore, we came out with this project because we wanted these people's problems to be sorted. That was the main challenge in my community. What is the challenge in your community, and how can you solve it? Let's try to be innovative. Thank you so much, Bene, for supporting us, and we are so grateful.
I am called Singura Martin. I have started up senior 4, but I have failed to get money to take me for higher education. I am raised by a single mother since my dad neglected us due to poverty. We became homeless until we managed to purchase a small piece of land where we shall plant coffee. So thank you for your support.
Thank you so much. Oh. That was just incredible. And as Latila was just saying in the chat box, it's so great to see the photo and the video and to come all the way across the world for many of us to see what your community is like and how you're working together. Thank you so much, Bridget. And we wish you the best of luck in the next couple phases of this project because it's going to unfold over time as well. Great. Yeah, take in those comments, leave those comments. I'm going to pull up Kaylee's slides, which now I have. Here we go. Excellent. Oh, those are nice slides, Kaylee. I'm glad we took a little tech moment to get them going. All right, over to you and go ahead and introduce them and I will pull them up.
Awesome. Well, thank you and apologies about the tech difficulties. Thought I could do it, but maybe not. So my project is a mural that's going in the high school that I go to, which is Sherwood High School here in Portland, Oregon. And so this is a big start to making our school a little bit more inclusive and promoting equity because our school and our community really struggles with that. Next slide, please. So a little bit about me. I am the awareness director at my school, or I was the awareness director. I just graduated. I am heading off to college in the next coming months, but my job is really to promote positivity and create peace and find ways to incorporate everybody no matter where you come from or who you are. And so I've worked a lot with a Unity Week. We created a mental health week this year. And I also planned our first peace poll and I've done several peace seminars. And so this was definitely a huge step in the process of making our school a little bit better. And this opportunity was presented by our Rotary, and my leadership advisor really pushed me to do this. So I was super excited to get this opportunity. Next slide. So Sherwood High School moved into a big brand new building. It is humongous. We're now the biggest school in Oregon. And so it was very bare. It didn't really have much art. It was a lot of brick, a lot of stone, cement. And so a lot of people were like, it feels like a jail. And so we really wanted to change that. We didn't know where to start, but we wanted to get more art, more advertisements for school events, clubs, sports. And so this definitely sparked interest in the project of a mural and artwork. But not only that, but our community and the way our community is built. Our community is based a lot on political dividedness, and we really struggle with loving everybody. We're a very unified front on several occasions and different people. However, we don't always get along with how things should be run, especially in our school system. And so this was also a way to incorporate everybody and make everybody feel heard and safe, because that is not the case in the community. Next slide. So by creating this painting, we hope to promote inclusivity and safety for Sherwood High School students. Our school is a place of acceptance of all and a representation of our entire community, which is shown in the painting in the next couple of slides. And students who have felt bullied, left out, or marginalized can now feel equal and powerful. Next slide. So in March, we took a survey. We sent out it to the entire school, and we got about 106 responses. And the questions were basically, what do you want to see in our halls? What do you want to see? How do you want to improve our school? Because we wanted the student input. We wanted their voice. And so as you can see, these are the questions that we asked, and the results are on the side. So this definitely sparked interest because majority of the people wanted to see more. They wanted to see posters, art, and these were just the main topics that were sent out. It was upcoming events, inspiring quotes, flyers, motivation, positivity, sports, LGBTQ, current events, art, color, directions, and murals. And so this was definitely where we wanted to go. We wanted to go in the direction of more art and inclusivity. Next slide. So this is our project. You can next slide, and then I think you can just do the next one as well. So our goal was to make everybody feel safe and included and represented here at Sherwood High School. Not only do we want everyone to find a place of belonging, we want students to look at the painting and to benefit from it or be impacted to do better. With specific colors that can be proven to promote students in a school environment, this would be placed in a spot where it can be reached as many peers as possible. And so we put it in our commons where most kids eat lunch, where you pass by when you go to classes, when you come into the school, in order to show everybody like this is who we are, even for visitors. Next slide. So here's our just basic timeline. I'll go in depth in the next couple of slides, but after we received the grant, we had to find somebody who would paint it, design it, kind of bring our vision to life. And then with the money that we received, we bought the paint, we bought the canvas, we bought the primer. And I think the other thing that goes in the bottom before you paint. And then we got district approval. We needed to make sure it was good with our school and then also the school district with everything that was being put on the canvas. So then we started designing and painting, and that's where we are today. Next slide. So today it is completed. It is in our gorgeous school building, and unfortunately I didn't get the chance to see it since I left school a couple weeks early because of graduation, and so I was unable to go in and see it put up, but I do have the final product before it got put up. Next slide. So this is our how. After receiving the grant, we typed up an email to the school. We sent it out to everybody. We sent flyers specifically to the art departments to get somebody to design it. We got several submissions, and then our student council took a vote on our top 2 designs and ultimately went with the senior who painted, and she is the painter of this canvas. Her name is Avery Roos. She did a fantastic job, and we submitted this design to our administration and school district. As soon as that happened, we bought our canvas, we gave Avery the paint, she gave us the color she wanted so that we could purchase it. And then we also typed up a description, which will be on the next slide, that was framed and put right next to the canvas. Next slide. So this is our description, as I'll read it out loud. This painting is a symbol of diversity, peace, and equity we see in Sherwood High School. The purpose of this painting is to promote inclusivity in our school as a unifying front against violence, hate, and bullying. In this design, it will find people from different ethnic backgrounds, flags from a variety of countries that students are from, LGBTQ vines representing multiple sexualities, orange flowers promoting Rett syndrome, and an infinity sign for autism. Not only does this represent Sherwood High School students, it exemplifies our community and spirit as a whole. This design was painted by Avery Roos, a talented senior of the 2022 class. Next slide. So we got district approval, which I'll talk about on the next slide was our biggest obstacle. It took way longer than we wanted it to, but we eventually got approval. We wanted to make sure that everything that we wanted to put on the design was okay with the school district to be put up in the school. So we immediately started sketching once we got that okay. We gridded it out, we got the paint, and we had at least 8 volunteers over the span of 3 days, lots of hours. I think one day we were there until 10 o'clock at night. To paint. And so, yeah, next slide. So our major obstacle was district approval, because when we first got the approval, when we wanted to do this project in the first place, we thought we got administration approval, and it turns out we only got 1 administration approval. So when we sent it in the design, they were just a little confused. So a little miscommunication, which is okay. They approved it. And then it had to go through a couple levels of our district, which included our equity diversity director, superintendent, and I don't know his official title, but like our groundskeeper. So like he could make sure it was good to be put up. And this took several weeks. Next slide. So these are the designs that she came up with. The first one is the rough draft, and then the second one is for like second rough draft, which is what ended up being painted with a couple minor changes. Next slide. So this is the grid. This is what the bottom slide is what she first sketched out before we could start painting, and also how she was going to decide to paint everything so that it was all proportionalized. So yeah, next slide. So the next couple slides are pictures of the process, and they go left to right. So when I got there the first day, the blue was already done, but you can kind of see the grid and the process of where we went and how we painted everything. Next slide. Oh, there they are. And so this was a little bit more of the painting And next slide. And then that's Avery. She's standing, she's painting. And then just another look from a different angle of the other things on the other side. And then next slide. And then next slide. So this was the final picture. This was the final canvas that is being put up in our school. So I will kind of explain a little bit. So the orange flowers is Rett syndrome. The infinity sign in the corner is autism. I don't know if you can see in the top corner next to it, it says the land of the Kalapuya, which is the tribal land that our school was built on. So every assembly, I pay acknowledgement to them and the Siletz Indigenous people and the Grand Ron. And so we wanted to include that in our mural, as well as different people that we see in our school. There's somebody in a wheelchair with a basketball, which signifies our unified sports. There's music. We have a cowboy and a kid with a skateboard, and we have lots of kids in our school that fit into those types of people. And then also diabetes is on his diabetic patch. I don't know exactly the right term. We also have reading, we have communication, and then lots of different LGBTQ flags, and then just country flags as well. Next slide. And so in conclusion, this was kind of the work that we did. There was at least 23 different sexualities represented on our mural, all from the community. There were 25 in total, but 2 of them are repeats. And so this includes gay, lesbian, pansexual, trans, asexual, aromantic, demi-girl, demi-boy, and so many more. This was over 30 hours of work. We spent at least 3 days, and I know Avery did a lot more just to get us prepared so that we could paint. And there are at least 15 countries represented on this mural, all countries that when we researched popular ethnicities that were found in Oregon. So we wanted to make sure it was catered specifically to our community and our states so that we weren't just finding random flags that we wanted to incorporate. Next slide. So in conclusion, this mural is only a starting point for making sure high school a more peaceful, inclusive, and safe place. In the situation of our current world, this felt like a really good time to be putting this artwork up. Being a vibrant piece, hopefully students will look at this and feel happy, relieved, or maybe even excited. Next slide. And so thank you. There's all the people who worked on it, me, and then 2 other people who were by my side, and one of them is actually taking over my position next year. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. It was amazing to see the whole journey on that. And it's funny to hear about the many hurdles of many layers of administration. Good work persevering through that. And one of the things that I love about your story that actually many of your fellow changemakers share is that your proposal wasn't just something you were going to do, but something you were engaging so many people in your community around doing. So thank you. Once again, lots of great comments coming in the chat box, and thanks to everyone who's leaving them there. It's a great way to express affirmation and to really let it sink in. You know, in our fast-paced culture, we can focus on the negatives so much. This is a really great chance to affirm that there are great projects countering the problems that we face. So our next changemaker that I'm going to share from is Lila Chavez, and she unfortunately is out of the country right now, so isn't actually able to join us, but she did put together a whole video to share. And so I am going to pull that up and let you see in her own slides and images of how she put together a Art for Climate Justice showcase that engaged an intergenerational cross-section of her community. Here it is.
project that I'm hoping never finished. But I'll get it so far. And then maybe somebody else. Yeah. Hopefully not, but. You could come in. I have a little studio out there. And I
I love that we just got an immersive experience. I felt like we got to be there in a little bit. Wonderful. Yeah, so many incredible things. It's just, I am just feeling saturated with the creativity, and we have two more presenters. So I want to go to Lila and Sophia to introduce your PSA and to talk a little bit about what happened with your project, and just let me know when you would like me to play that video.
Hi, my name is Lila Simbak. And that's Sophia Patra. And we are 14 years old. We live in Nashville, Tennessee. And we first got our idea for this project maybe 2 years ago, when we heard the story of someone named Jasmine Wheeler, who was 16 years old, only a few years older than us. And she found a gun in a car, and she ended up accidentally shooting one of her best friends. And this was just such a heartbreaking story, because we thought this could be any one of us, any one of the people we go to school with, any one of our friends that find a weapon, and just, accidents happen. And so we really wanted to create a project that would help combat this. And we realized, though we'd had lengthy seminars on bullying and drug abuse and alcoholism, we'd never had any education about gun violence and gun safety. And it's now the leading cause of death in young people in the US. And so we really wanted to create a video that showed young people resources that could help stay safe in the growing community around guns, and keep away from the guns that are being found on the streets, without feeling like we're lecturing people. Because as students, we know PSAs like this don't always go over well, when it feels like you're getting a lecture from a parent or an adult. And we wanted to just educate and show resources without it feeling like we're trying to use gaudy scare tactics that it does sometimes. And we also became aware of how many people come across guns in just everyday situations. People find guns on school grounds, in their homes, in locked cars. And this does result in accidents, and this does result in death. And we really wanted to just try and combat this through education, rather than we thought about doing legislation, but in Tennessee, it doesn't really seem like a viable option sometimes, because of the really pro-gun area we're in. And so we decided to use interviews and statistics, and which is something we kind of struggled with, especially the interviews, because we didn't write enough questions, and we didn't know how to talk to people who had gone through these experiences. And we wanted to be as respectful as possible of our interviewee's story, because we didn't want it to feel like we were using her, and we didn't want it to feel like we were just using this as, like I said, a scare tactic. And just on the tactical side, or the practical side, we didn't know how to film it. Our audio for our interviews were fuzzy, and it was too far away, which was really hard to deal with. But we worked with an editor who really helped us in clearing it up. And as extreme acts of violence continue through the US and through the world, our want to help and our want to combat this really grew. And we thought that it starts with the school system and it starts with education. And we're really grateful for this little part we're going to have in helping.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had some issues with my microphone. The video just includes an interview with a survivor of gun violence, as well as a lieutenant in the Metro Nashville Police Department. He's currently leading like an anti-gun violence type program, or a program that intends to get guns off the streets. And we strongly believe that the best way to solve issues of violence is by getting the word out and letting people talk about their experiences openly. And like we said earlier, we are trying to get our PSA distributed through our local school system, because we strongly believe that violence prevention starts with the education, which starts with young people like ourselves. I'm sorry, you can play the video now.
The people that actually went through stuff with gun violence or lost somebody to gun violence, a lot of people scared to talk about it. They got killed a week apart. Both sitting in the car, leaving work or going to the store. Somebody came up and just started shooting the car. The dude, he was my cousin, but we were just so tight that we were best friends. And my girl best friend, she got a child, you know, it was like, wow, they were to go a week apart.
So I'm looking at the last 3 years. In 2020, now this is just talking about juveniles involved with gun possessions, but we had 173 gun possessions. Then we had, in that same year, we had 43 gunshot victims. In 2021, we had 123 gun possessions with juveniles involved, and we had 55 gunshot victims. But year to date, we have 98 gun possessions, so we're already on pace this year to beat those numbers, it seems, because we're halfway through this year and we have 6 more months to go. And we have had a total of 19 gunshot victims with our juveniles so far this year.
So yeah, just get help when you ever experience anything gun violence. Like I just experienced some gun violence last week. When a fight broke out, a girl got beat up and started shooting. She couldn't hit anybody. And I was just out, I was out there and stuff like that. So what if it would have hit me and I would never, be able to be here because she got upset that she got beat up. But
this is a program where individuals in homes, parents, grandparents, foster parents, adults can go to these locations and turn in weapons anonymously through these churches. It's a no questions asked process where they can turn in the weapons without having any interaction with police and turn those weapons into gun safes. One alternative is an individual, if they don't have the transportation to get to a church that's near their area, if they don't have one, they can actually call the non-emergency number. They still can remain anonymous. When the officer comes out, that person will still not be asked any questions. As long as they let the call taker know once they call the non-emergency number, let the call taker know that they want to turn in a weapon through the gun retrieval program.
Wow, so powerful. So powerful in that short amount of time, how much information you conveyed, the poignancy of the stories, the sense of both the personal and how big the problem is. Yeah, Jonathan put in the chat box, emotionally powerful too. Is there anything else you want to add? No, you're all set. Well, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say thank you so much, because there's no way we would have been able to do this without the funds that Pace Bene provided. And we're so grateful to be able to be change makers in our community. Thank you.
Well, we're so glad that you used those funds so well. Thank you. All right, our last, but certainly not our least change maker is going to share a little bit about this amazing project that she has done just this week. Kayla Park Hernandez, over to you. Would you like me to pull up your slides, or you want to just bring them up on your end?
You think, okay, I'm gonna try to share it.
All right.
All right. Right. Yay. Okay, sorry. All right, so educating nonviolent towards Earth, posters for climate awareness and responsibility. All right, me and my team. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about me first, a little bit of background, and then we can get started. So hi, like I already said, my name is Kayla Park Hernandez, and I'm going to sophomore year, and I'm going to Wakefield, and well, so I was born in Mexico, and I lived there for like 12 years. And I'm 14 years old now, and I came here about one year or 2 years ago. And when I was little, when I was living in Mexico, I used to live with my mom, just my mom, and used to look around and just see, like, especially how polluted my city was, because my city, like, it was a poor area, and they wouldn't really, put money into like clean the rivers or the streets, or it would get too warm. And I will always wonder, and I will ask my mom, and my mom weren't really, she wouldn't really know about it, and because, well, my mom didn't really get education about it, and then she didn't get educated about it. So I did some research, and I started to know more about climate change, and I was like, wait, why isn't people teaching about this? Why aren't we getting educated about climate change? And I was really into it when I was little, and I came here, and it's really just a big opportunity. I mean, all these camps, it's like just so great. I attended to my grandma's peace camp. It's lovely, and it really inspired me to really work on this, like, to don't just like talk about it, also like educate about it. So my plan has been to help educate people and raise awareness about what are the problems and causes, and educate young kids about this. So here we have my team. So that's my grandma and my grandpa. They're like the founders of Peace Camp. And my dad, he is major of like the environment science, and he works for Tesla. So he really inspires me a lot. And I believe with Greta Thunberg, you're never too small to make a difference. So I believe everyone can learn, and even if you're too young, you can always make a difference. So maybe Grandma, you want to say a little bit about Peace Camp?
So hi everybody. When Kayla came and attended Peace Camp and she said, I want to be activist. And we took a walk around. We live in DC, right near the Capitol. And so we just talked about different movements and ways to get involved. And I told her about my husband and I and how we didn't like violence, and that as a teacher and as a parent of 6 children, I said, I want my children to grow up in a world where there's peace and nonviolence. So we started Peace Camp, and we've been doing it for 40 years and teaching peace and ways to solve problems without violence. And so when the Changemaker award came out, I told Kayla about it, and boom, she took off with this idea. And I was so thrilled that last week she came to Peace Camp, and she's going to tell the story of what happened.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's so wonderful to really work on this and keep educating kids, because I really know that they care and they do want to make a difference. So I work on this week and we will show you. So I started with, we bought all these canvases and all the things that we needed, paintings and all for like posters. And so before Peace Camp, before the week, I started making these samples. I drew Tesla and this canvas right here. I'm gonna show it to you. I'll have it right here. So I use this one right here. It's a painting and has the capital, and I have causes and solutions. And I use this, you can see right here. I use this to teach kids about what is going on, because I love art and I love teaching people with it. I know I love showing images, and I know that kids just see it and learn about it. So here, teaching with art. We have large group in the morning. So all the kids, we have about 40 campers and 20 young adults. So they were all around. And we started Monday explaining about like asking kids, like, do you know what climate change is? And they started, their day wondering what it is. So I was working in art in the classroom, and their kids were coming in, and I was using that time to start teaching about climate change. So I was starting to say what causes and solutions were, and like we should like eat less meat, or we should bike and walk more. I also started like asking questions. They were also very impressed how like they were so smart. They were like 5 years old or 6 years old. They were raising their hands, and I was like, all right. So here we have all the peace learning circles. We make a circle and we all listen to each other's. So here we were asking questions. What are the problems and solutions? What can we do about it? What are some inventions we can do to solve it? So we got the kids thinking about it, and also reading a climate change book. Peacemakers starting their activist sketch. So then to start this, we told the kids that, oh, why don't you like start a sketch with a sketch with an invention or problems and solutions, and what you know about it, like what would you do for the climate. So this is the starting of for the posters. So they started drawing their sketches. They were all enjoying, they were having so much fun. Really loved it. More learning. So from other days of this week, we were showing them videos. We had this very good video that was explaining very well about global warming. So they really enjoyed that. And they learn about it. They were something that I was like very happy about is that like they used to like I sit with them and then they start saying about like, oh, I really don't like that. There was this girl, Claire, she was saying that she really doesn't like that we are littering and that, or like the planet is too warm or stuff like that. And I really was happy because they were asking questions that were into it. So here they were with their starting their sketch, getting posters done. So I asked them for help for posters because we are planning to take posters to the Capitol or to the senators, and they were so happy to join us. So they started to create posters. So they were using all the markers and paintings. And we were talking about it a while, and here's some of the posters. Actually, here the first poster right here. I was so impressed. This one right here, because she was like, "Can I take a poster to home?" And then she took it, and then the next day she came and with all this, and she actually did so much research about it. She was all excited, tell me about it. She was like, "This is don't cut down trees, plant a tree, bike more," and it was just. And we have like a lot of this too. I will show it to you. Some invention. Oh, yeah, it's coming. But this is an invention that I also invented things, which you will see that I was very impressed. These kids just come with ideas, and I'm really happy for it. So, research. Like I said, they really got into it and they started doing research and started learning about it, and they started talking about what they can do good, and also that they will like there was Johnny was saying that, oh, like I've been reading about it and I want to like tell my parents that we should bike more and we should, and I was like, yes. So so here we have greenhouse producers, we have bags. We have Claire, the one she was really thinking that the oceans should not be, they shouldn't be trash in the ocean. She was like really, very like, she was very angry about it. I was like, okay. She had all this information already. Here are like more informative ones you can read. We were like teaching with these posters as well. So these are our inventions. We have a Tesla bus, and we have him that he actually explained his poster, and I'll put the audio of him explaining, if that's okay. His poster. And all right, so he invented a new trash picking up machine. How is it going to work? So it has like sensors around the area where it's placed, and when it senses a human drop trash, it automatically comes out of the ground and picks up the trash, and the gravel picks up the trash, and then the vacuum vacuums it up and then sorts it. There's two tubes, and then sorts it into recycling or garbage. Wow, that's amazing. So yeah, I was just so amazed how he just came with this idea, and I was like, we're getting inventors. So we have this girl that she also did a lot of research, and she was presenting her poster, more things that we can do. This was Peacemaker Day, so we have like a Peacemaker Day. It's Martin Luther King or someone, and I chose Greta. I really really love listening to her. She's amazing. Her speeches are amazing. So presenting a climate change activist, Greta Thunberg. So I drew a sketch and I decided to start a poster and to a painting to show it. So we might show it too because we don't have pictures of them. Here we go. So, and it has like a bunch of quotes that the kids also can read, and they also learn about who she was and what she does for the environment. And here I got started on my big mural, getting mural done for the festival. Friday, which was yesterday, we had a big festival, and where all the kids come, the parents, and everyone comes to a big, large group. So I will show it to you here. So presenting, we have everyone. We have grandparents, parents, counselors, the kids, and everyone. I was just like so excited. I was like, yes, it's my moment to just also, especially for the parents, like to see, especially because what they're doing, like affect, like it's a future for their kids, like when they grow up, like how's the climate gonna be, like it's our world after all. We have to take care of it, and they have to think also and care about their kids. So I was giving that explanation and showing my poster. So we also shared the Greta poster that the quote that she said, "You say you love your children above all else, and yet you are still in their future in front of their very eyes." So when I said that quote, the parents were like quiet for a second, and I think they really got a moment, like thought about it, and it was really fun. Okay. Oops. And here's the poster. Yay. Not completely done though. I'm still working on it because I also think that we should keep working on this. Like, I don't want to just stop it right here. This is gonna keep going because of course it's not over. Climate change is not over. We have to bring more people to learn, and I'm so excited. I think I didn't achieve my goal completely, but I did achieve a lot of things. I think a lot of the kids learned. I think a lot of the kids were excited. I had my poster and one of the kids was like just teaching the other kid, and I was just so amazed. I was like, okay, wow. I was just so amazed, and how I think they all finished with something in mind, and I'm really happy about it. Grandma has Peace Camp next week, so she will still use some of the posters and all these things, and we will keep teaching about it. And also I will go to Mexico, but when I come back, we will probably have a small protest about the climate change, where the senator's office or the Capitol. So I think they really should open their eyes, because it is an important, it's not, I mean, you cannot see, I mean, the carbon dioxide and everything, but it's really happening. I think that's why people don't really see it, because you cannot really see it, but it's here, it's happening, and it's changing. So I think we should all do something about it in their land. So to be continue.
And I just want to thank Pache Bene, because we also shared with everyone how this all got started, and it brought hope to so many people. And last night we were down near the Capitol, and we visualized that we're going to have our march with all the kids' posters and have them join us. So thank you all, and thank you, Kayla, to be such an inspiration And the ripple effect is going to go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. I hope you read all these comments that are coming in the chat box, and lots of claps and applause on the screen. So much beautiful art, so much hopefulness to them. Wow. Every single one of you change makers has done such incredible work, and just in the past 6 months. All right, so this really started in February, maybe even mid-February, and now we have these amazing creations that many of which have legs that are going forward, many of which are rippling out into other people that you've touched and interacted in this project. We're so inspired by all of you and excited to follow the leadership that you are showing in working for social justice and change, for teaching nonviolence and implementing peace. Thank you for renewing in all of us the sense of what can be done, what should be done, and how we can be listening and supporting and hearing and uplifting all the voices. I want to give our people who have been listening a chance to say some of their appreciations to all of you in the next few minutes before we end. But I also want to say a couple things briefly. If you have been tuning in today and you want to help us fund the next round of Changemakers grants, or you know somebody in your networks who might want to help do this, please be in touch with us. We will have another round of these. We are committed to that as an organization. And so all the resources that go to it go straight back out into amazing projects like this. The other thing is that if you work with organizations, and many of us do, or academic institutions, we have learned through Apache Bene from our friends at the MK Gandhi Institute that this model of a program is so powerful. And I think today's stories are really a testimony to that. So please reach out to us to talk about how your organization could do the same thing as well, and do these kind of small creative youth grants that would help get resources to people like our change makers today who have such great ideas. So yeah, I think every institution, if every nonprofit in the world had a program like this, wouldn't that be cool? I see some of our youth change makers like nodding. Yes, every single one of our millions of youth would be like, I got an idea. And we'd be like, great, here's some resources. So let me just open up the mics and let people respond and say anything. Yeah, Ken Budigan, who is part of the Apache Bene staff, would like to start us off.
I am so grateful to learn about all this amazing initiative that each of you has taken. I've been at Apache Bene a million years. I think this is our best project. And thank you for all of it. You are really the future, and you're showing us that it's possible. And I learned so much about nonviolence today from each of you. Thank you.
Other folks, you can just come off mute and chime in.
My name is Brian Hall. I'm the executive director of Apache Bene. I'm just really astounded. I've been with Apache Bene for, well, over 10 years now, 12 years, I think. And I can't imagine doing anything like this when I was your age. I, did little things. I was in Boy Scouts, was an Eagle Scout, and did do things like that. But it was simple stuff. The idea of nonviolence and social justice wasn't in my mindset back then. And you're just all of you are just so on top of this and have a better sense of the world and the need for community and peace and justice that is incredible. I'm just grateful for each one of you, for all the work you're doing, and for making our world better. My son is 1 year old, making his world better. And yeah, thank you.
I've already spoken, but I just can't tell what my body is feeling right now. So much emotion with so much going on in the world to pause and just really focus in on the beautiful creative work. I really want to do a peace camp with all these change makers right now, meaning come. This is totally, each of the topics are what's, near and dear to our heart. You guys are the future, but we keep using the word hope, but I also feel like a spark of light that you all are bringing to these topics that are really tugging at people's heart and pulling them down. But I am ready to, you guys should be the sermon at all churches tomorrow, and this would be the spark. So thank you for inspiring, and we will be talking about you in our circles that we do, and I'm thinking of ideas, so I will I'll network with all of you, but this is wonderful.
First of all, I love this idea that, you can circulate an invitation to the Peace Camp to these wonderful young people. That's beautiful. I love that. It's already some concrete thing happening. I just want to also echo what everyone said. These projects were fantastic, so creative, and they reveal that nonviolence has so many dimensions in expression, in art, in teaching, in community work, education, helping lift people out of poverty, dealing with the trauma of violence. All these different forms are part of and elements of the creative power of nonviolence. And it's, the young people who have presented proved 100% that anyone who thinks that youth aren't able to process and deal with these issues is wrong. And the power of youth to do it is so robust. And even working with little kids, very young kids, we can't underestimate anyone, even very young children. And so I just want to say that I believe that for all of the young people who participated in this project, this is something you'll remember for the rest of your life as a beginning, as a spark. And I have no doubt that each of you is going to continue in so many creative ways to do so many wonderful things to change the world. So I want to thank you so much.
Great. And any of our change makers, if you want to say anything to your fellow change makers, this is a great moment to do it as well.
I just want to say thank you to all the other change makers, because what we are doing and how we are engaging our community and our youth, it's very important, especially for the continuation of our lives and changing and creating positive change in our communities for a better future. And I also want to thank Bene, of course, for allowing us to be a part of this Changemakers grant program.
It is our honor and our delight and our privilege. So thank you all. We hope you will not be strangers going forward, that if you need something, have a bright idea, want to do another kind of a project, you reach out and be in touch. We are always looking for co-conspirators, and we can now consider you all of that. And we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for bringing your equal and surpassing measures of treasure in terms of your creativity, your passion for justice, your clarity about the problems and the solution, and your willingness to work with so many other people and engage them in a process of change as well. So thank you all. I'm going to conclude there and just say that this has been one of the highlights of my year, and it has been an absolute delight. Thank you. I'm going to let you all come off mute and say goodbye as you pop off to end today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.